swarm of bees going off. And to watch it from down below is an amazing experience. This morning, I'm with Nils Thorgerson and Owen Schneider. Nil created the company, created the program, and Owen is the pilot, piloting 300 aircraft at one time. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine it. How does that even work?
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's been awesome to be out here. But yeah, so we're flying 300 drones for the show at the FEISTA. Everything's pre-programmed. All the drones are following a predetermined path. So once we hit go, the drones take off, and then they'll take over and follow that path along the sky.
And what kind of control do you have from your control panel over there?
Yeah, so I have control over the lights and whatnot during on the ground and doing all the show uploads to get the show onto the drones. And then once the show is going, the drones take over completely. So, but I have the ability to land all the drones during an emergency or turn all the lights on just in case any aircraft approach us and we need to warn them.
That's wonderful. Nils, we were talking before the show. I remember you guys were on AGT, America's Got Talent, which is wonderful. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, that was a little crazy because they approached us, and I never envisioned ever ending up on America's Got Talent, but they were super persistent, and I had to convince my engineers that that was actually going to be a smart thing to do, and we were a little scared of Simon Cowell, but we went on, and we were like the drone nerds, and we weren't wearing spandex or sequins like everybody else. We kind of felt like outcasts, but in the end, Simon loved us, and he gave us the golden buzzer. It was awesome.
That's terrific. Did you actually get to talk to him?
Yeah, no, we did. He came up afterwards. He was super excited because he said, I had an awful day and you guys just saved my day. Thank you for coming.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. Now, where did the concept for this whole show come from?
Well, starting around 15 years ago or so, there were some professors who were doing really interesting experiments with drones and flying them in formations and making them do different things. And I saw some of this and I got inspired, and other people in Europe were also inspired and started doing drone shows and things. And the industry, you know, it took a while for this technology to get developed and to come into its own, and that's what we're really spearheading here. And so it's really only in the last few years that it's become accessible and possible to do this kind of thing at scale.
How do you go about sourcing your actual drone units?
We have to make them ourselves, okay? That was not our first choice, but you can't actually go out and buy what's required to do this, so we had very specific requirements. And unlike, say, going and buying a normal consumer drone, like we don't need a camera, right? We need a big light on bottom. So in the end, we had to make it ourselves.
So you can't just go on Amazon and order 300 drones?
No, indeed not, right? And there's so much more to it than the drones. There's software that obviously has to make sure that the drones don't collide, and there's a lot of other tools that are really important in terms of being able to design these shows.
How long does it take to design a show like this?
This one probably took maybe a week of our designers' time, you know, a lot of back and forth and iteration, you know. Easy shows can be done in a few hours, but more complex shows like this, you know, take a bit longer.
Oh, and how did you happen to come into the drone world?
It's actually a pretty funny story, actually. I graduated college in 2019, and I was looking for a job and basically stumbled upon these guys when they were first starting out. I applied for the job, and they took me, and I was one of the first employees with Verge, and I've been with us for 3 years now, which is amazing.
What was your background in college?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering.
Okay, you guys, if you're thinking about studying electrical engineering, these guys are nerds, and they're the coolest nerds I have ever met. How did the company name Verge come about?
I think you know, I have 3 engineers I started the company with, and they were like trying to come up with a name, and just out of thin air, like they saw Verge somewhere and they thought, oh, that's a cool name. You know, it's really hard to name companies and products, so it just came into being that way.
Well, it definitely works. What other kinds of drone shows are you doing these days?
We do all kinds of different things. I mean, we do a lot of corporate work. We do even like birthday parties for people who really want to go wild. We do music festivals. I mean, this is a new art form, and we're still figuring out all the different ways to deploy it. It's really, I think, you know, we're still in like the Model T era in terms of the development of this industry, and there's so much potential, and we're still figuring out cool new ways to use drones.
I can't, if you're in the Model T era now, I can't even imagine where it's going from here. It's going to be huge. Where are you based?
We're based in Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas. So you had to move to Austin out of school?
That is correct. I actually moved to Philadelphia first, which is where our first office was, and then moved to Austin.
Then moved to Austin, and you're planning on sticking around a while, I bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, how can people find you if they want to talk to Burge about designing a drone program of their own?
Well, you can go to our website, www.verge.aero, A-E-R-O on the
I love these new website endings. So, Glenn, I'm going to send it back to you on the stage, and I want to get up close and personal with some more of these wonderful little drones.
Hey, Ruth, before you get away, I'm wondering what these guys think of the show, because they do all the design on computers. What do they feel when they see the show actually go in the sky and take place?
The question from our host is, what do you guys feel when you actually see the show go into the air? How does it impress you?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel a little bit of panic just because I've been with the system for so long, and I've seen some things go wrong. But all these, nowadays the shows run really well, so it's just really exciting, especially to see new content that we find. That's the thing that's exciting.
Nils, how about you? What are you thinking about when these things take to the sky?
I've finally been able to achieve a near zen state. In the beginning, it was sheer terror, but now I'm much more calm because we know it works and we're able to execute it all.
That's so wonderful. Anything else, Art and Glenn, that you'd like me to ask?
No, I'm good. I just enjoyed the show again this morning, and I'm like you, just kind of amazed at the technology and the fact that they have to build their own drones. I didn't see these commercial product on the shelf. Clearly they're not, so kudos to these two companies for what they're doing. I'm sure there will be balloon festivals around the country, essentially around the world, that will now begin to touch having seen what we've done here.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, Nils. We appreciate that. We definitely enjoyed the show. And we'll remind all the folks that if you missed it here live, if you still can't be here live for that, we did record it earlier this week, and you can go to balloonfiesta.com and look at the Balloon Fiesta Live page and actually check out the drone show there as well.
And that is one video that is worth looking up to see, because it is an amazing show, and as I've been saying all week, I think once the first time we saw it, it just exceeded everyone's expectations as to what the presentation would be. It really is amazing, and as I say, I can only imagine. I know there's been discussion in our online chat groups of different ballooning events saying, wow, we need to do that here,
Yeah.
we need to do that there. So yeah, I suspect the phone at Verge will be ringing very soon.
There you go. And I'm available to create audio tracks for you.
Well, I do that as well. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, it is Saturday morning here at Balloon Fiesta Park. Normally at this time we would have the Dawn Patrol show presented by Route 66 Casino and Resort, and because of the moisture that is hanging in the air, our Dawn Patrol show has decided to do a little candlestick show for you. There they go.
There they are.
And so that is our Dawn Patrol show team firing off their burners for your entertainment this morning. And they will continue to do that for just a little bit here. We are headed over to Pilots Briefing now. We're letting Ruth move from the drones over to Pilots Briefing, where we hope to get there in time to be able to pick up on the weather.
The updated, latest weather.
Which still changes after we Pilots Briefing. Last night being a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it's that old saying, you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. And I know that's said around the world, almost everywhere town says
sure.
it now. But last night it certainly proved true. And once I got back to the hotel last night and was watching the local news, it was shocking to see that storm literally blew up right about where my hotel is, Paseo and I-25, and then moved over us. And this was the only place in Albuquerque that got wet.
It is.
It was like, it was like Mother Nature, as Troy Bradley said earlier this week, Mother Nature's picking on Balloon Fiesta. She just dumped right on top of us, and nobody else even, had a sprinkle.
We were looking at the radar after they were watching it real time. I got to see it afterwards.
Right.
And at 7 o'clock, there wasn't anything on the radar. And at 7:10, all of a sudden something's there, and by 7:20, it was huge.
Yes.
And basically here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, it literally popped up just about a mile, if that far, from here.
Yeah.
Right around Paseo and I-25 in that area. around the Journal Center, and then moved directly over us, and it was just boom. And I'm seeing a lot of comments about, well, the weather people should have been looking at this closer, and that.
It
Folks,
wasn't there.
That was a
not there.
pop-up shower, and there is nothing you can do about that. There was no indication that was going to happen.
The good news is
it happened so rapidly. There was, it was amazing that we were able to respond as well as everyone did.
Well, that's what we have a meteorology team here for. They were watching things, and they're saying, yeah, everything's good. And then as soon as it popped up, they told us, they told the pilots, we got balloons down as quickly as we could. Although many of our special shapes last night got a very good bath.
They did. And part of the object for today for those pilots would be to get those balloons somewhere where they can get them dry. I was told by one of our officials earlier that Sam Parks, our event director, is working with certain facilities around the area, trying to make indoor facilities, trying to make arrangements so that we can get some of those balloons indoors and get them dried out.
They actually took about 7 of the special shapes down to the University of New Mexico, the indoor arena, and literally cold inflated them. And they were doing that till after 2 o'clock this morning. So they got a number of them mostly dried out overnight. Thanks to UNM for opening their facilities and allowing us to bring some balloons down there. I know some guys just packed it up and are hoping to dry it out today. Some guys actually tried to dry it out on the field last night after we left because the rain didn't stick around that long. It was just really big, really heavy. I think we got nearly a half an inch of rain here at the field.
I heard 6/10 last night on the local news.
Could have been that high.
So
I looked earlier and it wasn't quite that high yet, but it was still raining.
Yeah, so, it was enough that everyone really got soaked if you weren't able to get indoors. But yeah, it was purely, a pop-up shower that caught everyone off guard, and the fact that it blew up to be so big so fast was also I think, as I was telling you earlier when we were off air, I think perhaps some of the shapes, after we gave them the information to take it down, pack it up, some were slow to do that, and I'm thinking maybe they thought this was just one of those light showers that we've had all week,
it's just gonna come
and if
through.
you just keep the balloon up, the shower will move through, and by keeping it up and keeping heat in it, it'll dry out very quickly. And then sadly they found that it wasn't just a light shower.
Yeah, a little bit more to it than they thought, which everybody makes their guess and their prediction, and you live with the results of that.
Yeah, but there's nothing to be done by pointing fingers and trying to assess blame, because it was just one of those freaks of nature that it caught us, and very little, if anything, that could have been done, because as I say, we had just raised the green flag. We were in the process of simply waiting on getting the last few shapes inflated so we could do our first glow of the week, and then boom. And as I say, I thought FEISTA and the officials responded as rapidly and quickly as they could, and did a great job of getting people into shelter and just trying to ride it out, which we all did. And some of the local news reports, they had interviews with folks saying, "Hey, I thought it was kind of fun actually." And a lot of people, I'm not sure I agree with that, but a lot of people came prepared with umbrellas and tarps and things like that. So, you play the hand that's dealt you, and you do the best you can, and that's all that could be done last night. So.
And because the fireworks were already set up and armed and ready to go.
There were comments about people saying, well, how weird they're firing the fireworks in the rain. Well, the shells had already been set and were ready to go, and they had to fire them off before they got too wet and wouldn't go. And so that was kind of the reason. It wasn't like we were trying to put on a show in the rain. It was more a safety issue where they had to fire those shells before they got too wet and were completely ruined. So that's why the fireworks went ahead.
So it provided a little extra show as people were in line to get off the field last night.
It was interesting, to sit here on the roof. We were fortunately under a roof, but to see it pouring rain and see the fireworks going off
was interesting.
I've seen a lot of fireworks shows in my day, but I don't know that I've ever seen one in pouring rain like that.
It was definitely interesting. Again, this is ExxonMobil Day here at Balloon Fiesta, the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which this year and for years to come will be powered by ExxonMobil, as is Balloon Fiesta Live. ExxonMobil kind of got their sponsorship with Balloon Fiesta started through one of their subsidiaries, XTO, a few years ago.
They were our sponsor up here on the rooftop.
Yeah, and then it expanded to ExxonMobil, and now ExxonMobil stepping up yet again to to be able to present or power the entire Balloon Fiesta. So we are happy to be working with ExxonMobil here at Balloon Fiesta. It is our Dawn Patrol show time, and because of the rain showers in the area, our Dawn Patrol show presented by Route 66 Resort and Casino, they are doing a little candlestick out there for us, and so that's what you see, the flames that are burning brightly, intermittently, and all together, and just kind of giving us a little burner show this morning. And then we are expecting Krispy Kreme to make a decision on their activities this morning. They may also be doing a candlestick for us. We'll have to wait and see. Pilot briefing underway now, and we hope to be able to catch weather over there as they get to that part of pilot briefing. They have started the pilot briefings this year by bringing up past balloonmeisters. The balloonmeister, of course, is the person who is basically in charge of the flying events and the communications to the pilots about what the tasks or what is actually happening here. And we have had many of them over our last 50 years, and they have invited them all back. Obviously not all of them still living, some of them not available to be here for other reasons. But we have invited a number of them back and have made them an honorary balloonmeister for the day. We introduced them to the pilots at pilot briefing and let them kind of reminisce for a moment or two. We've heard some great stories oh yeah, we remember when those things happened, as things have definitely changed and evolved over the last 50 years here at Balloon Fiesta.
Absolutely. And just for clarity's sake, people are already asking, are balloons flying today? And someone wanted to know what roof we're on. We're on the rooftop studio, but I'm not sure if it's, this used to be our super secret announce tower when it was just Tom Rutherford and I up here with a couple of microphones.
You could hide behind the railing then.
Exactly, we could. And now, of course, there's cameras and TV lights and all that stuff on us.
Big backdrop.
Yeah, big backdrop. It's not like it was the old days when it was just a table, a couple of chairs, and two microphones, because all we were doing was talking on the PA here as field announcers. And at that time, when we first moved up here, the FAA had restricted access to this rooftop, and no one but Tom and myself was allowed up here.
Right.
So we used to jokingly call it the super secret announce tower. We could tell you where it was, but then we'd have to kill you. So
that was like when we flew the stealth balloon here.
Yes. Yeah.
Finish your story, and then we'll talk about this.
Well, no. So I was just going to say, someone's asking, what roof we're on top of. Well, just look for the bright TV lights and the Balloon Fiesta Live backdrop, and you'll find us. And so, I think they're even showing us on the live screen now. But, so we're on the rooftop. It is now on our rooftop studio. It does leak sometimes.
But, it is on the roof, so it is clear sky.
That's right.
Or sky, I know this. It hasn't been that clear this week. It's been pretty gray and cloudy.
Yeah, because we're on the roof, not under the roof. And so, we're exposed to get up here sometimes. But it's fun. So anyway, just look for the bright TV lights and the big Balloon Fiesta Live backdrop. We're not that hard to find. There aren't that many rooftops on Balloon Fiesta Park field to begin with.
A lot of tent roofs that are all on angles, so obviously we couldn't be on those. And even the Sid Cutter Pavilion has kind of a rolling roof.
That's true, yeah. So we are not on top of the Sid, if you're wondering about that. We're down on top of Sponsor Hospitality.
South end.
South end of the field, toward the museum. So. And then, as I say, people will say, well, geez, are the balloons going to fly? The balloons going to fly? Well, we don't know yet. I mean, if we knew, we would tell you. We are scheduled to fly this morning, and it's still dark, so we can't fly, obviously, at this hour. We'll wait till the sun comes up. We'll have our balloon of the day and the national anthem. And as I say, we'll be going to pilot briefing shortly. Everybody else, others are saying, well, when are we going to pilot briefing? When are we going to pilot briefing? When they get the weather, we'll go to pilot briefing. We're going to get the update. So just calm down, folks. Calm down.
Everybody's anxious to fly.
As that quarterback guy said, relax. RELAX. Hey.
We can't talk about the RC balloons, the remote control balloons.
Yeah.
You remember that we were attempting throughout the week to inflate and set a world record for the most model hot air balloons to be inflated at the same time in the same location. And we needed 55 to break that record. Yesterday morning, we had an opportunity to attempt that record. We were expecting 60 of our 85 remote control balloons to actually be out there yesterday morning. my take of being out there, we probably had that many or close to it.
Yeah.
However, you have to have all of the balloons inflated at the same time.
That we didn't get done.
And with the breeze that was coming in, you'd have 40, 50 balloons standing up, and then 3 would go down, and 2 would stand up, and then 2 more would stand up, but 4 would sit down. And so, unfortunately, we did not get enough standing up at the same time to break the record. Still haven't gotten an official count of how many we did get up, but I know that at one point we were in the high 40s anyway, so we were close.
Yeah, we were close. I remember hearing, I don't know if it was an official or just someone who was doing their own counting, but while you were down there live, which was a great thing we did yesterday, we sent Art and our camera crew right down there amongst all those little RC balloons. I recall hearing an offhand comment saying, someone saying we're 9 short. Well, that would have meant we were at about 46 that were simultaneously inflated at that point in time, because we needed to get to 55. I'm not sure we ever got an absolute positive, expert count, but it was in the upper 40s, but less than 10 shy probably of achieving the record.
Yeah, and what great fun to be down in among all those RCs last night. It's one thing to be in and among our full-size shaped balloons, but because they're so wide, the baskets are pretty far apart, the people are pretty far apart, even if the envelopes are touching. With the RC balloons, the mini balloons, they're much closer together and really packed in tight.
And in some cases I saw, people actually were holding the baskets in their hands, in part because they don't have the gimbal control on the burner, so they use the basket to move the burner.
Yeah, the basket
so some people, so you can walk up, you could be sitting side by side like we are, one of us holding a basket, about the size of the covers we have on our iPads today, to aim the burners. So I bet it was a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, let's find out what's on tap for today. We're at weather at Pilot Briefing. Let's take you live to the Pilot Briefing now.
Jacob Russo helping us this morning. He is celebrating his second year at Balloon Fiesta here. And do I have a launch director in the area to give Jacob permission to launch the pie ball? All right.
So there goes the pie ball, the pilot balloon, helium balloon with a little marker on it. Pilots will watch that to see what the directions are. We're going to kind of continue to monitor what's happening there at pilot's briefing.
First of all, if you're a female pilot, give me a shout. If you're not a female pilot, let's give them a shout. All right. So they're going to take their annual picture at the base of the tower for all the female pilots. So please come down here and let's see what that picture looks like again this year, and hopefully it gets bigger and bigger every year. So thank you again to all the female pilots. All right, if you'll look up here, I'll go over today's activities. So we're back to the Saturday and Sunday routine.
So while Henry is going over the day's activities this morning for the pilots, we're going to just kind of continue to monitor to that to find out what the decision is on flying this morning. You did hear from Brad Tiemeyer, our official meteorologist, that there is showers in the vicinity at both Albuquerque Sunport, the main airport to the south of us, and at Albuquerque Double Eagle, which is a general aviation airport out to the west. So showers all around the area this morning. And you heard him mention something about a tempo for later today at both of the airports.
Right.
And that is basically just an alert for some less than ideal weather for flying. And as he said, I think both of those were going to start at 8 o'clock and go till noon or later.
Mid-afternoon,
Yeah. So the airports are reporting showers in the area. Here's the radar that we have from right here at Balloon Fiesta Park. So you can see that there is a lot of showers down in the mid part of the state, and right over the top of us, there continues to be the shower activity going on here as well.
Well, I was going to say, when you use the term in the vicinity, at the moment, the vicinity includes Balloon Fiesta Park. I mean, we do have a light, and most of the mornings, as we've been on at 6 a.m., we've had a very light sprinkling falling. Occasionally we get some slightly larger drops, but it's basically a light sprinkle at this point. But there is rain falling here at Balloon Fiesta Park.
So I'm not sure that we didn't get an opportunity to hear what Henry told the pilots the game plan is. Our best guess is, as we've seen the Dawn Patrol show do a candlestick, Krispy Kreme not standing up.
I think Henry's still talking now. Chili flight.
Yep.
Also for those balloons that are here now that want to do a static and dry their equipment out from last night. So if they are in a site and you are around balloon, please work with them. If you have a tarp or extra fans or people to assist them, let's help those folks out too. I know several of them are here and they hope to do something if this mist and precip will stop. So that's our plan. I want to end this today. This is a picture of a home. It happens to be my home back home. And I know most of you are from your home, and your home is far away because not everybody's here in Mexico and even or in Albuquerque here. As you know, that while we're here participating in this, we have our family members and coworkers and you know, supporting the things back at home so that we can do what we do here. And you know, every day I communicate back with my family and I send them some type of picture. And if you've got kids, nowadays kids don't communicate the way that we think they would communicate. You would think you'd pick the phone up and call me, but they don't do that. They're going to take pictures and they're going to text, and you got to be on social media and Snapchat and stuff like that. So I sent this picture the other day, and the son posted this picture. You can read it. Anyway, just know that those folks at home miss us. They may not call you, they may not tell you, but they're telling the world that they miss you. So anyway, let's end today, let's end tomorrow, this weekend with a great opportunity. If we can do something, we're going to do it. If we can't do it, we're going to keep everything dry and secure in our vehicles and in our trailers. So, all right, please go to your site, listen to the Remind system. We'll send something out. We're planning to do the national anthem at that 7 o'clock hour, and you'll have something information-wise right after the 7 o'clock hour. So thank you very much. Let's have a great day.
So there you hear it.
There it is.
Direct from the Balloon Meister, Henry Rosenbaum, to our pilots this morning. On hold, national anthem at 7 o'clock, as we went back to him and he was talking about kind of when they're dead center of the field, those types of things. That will be the flight of our Chile Express group. So
They'll
apparently they
a
are still
flyover
scheduled this morning.
And so apparently, yeah, they hopefully will be flying once the sun is up.
That would be at 7 with the national anthem as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then, as you heard him say, then they will send information out to the pilots with an update as to what the plans are. And as we heard him say, if the window of opportunity is there to fly, we'll fly. If the window is only an opportunity perhaps to stand up and static display, we'll do that, especially for those pilots whose balloons and equipment got wet last night. If they're, if the rain stops, there'll be an opportunity for them to get the balloons out, inflate them, and get them dried out, and hopefully packed away again this morning.
And that drying out process is really just to continue to put a lot of cold air, run the fans through it. You may, at some point, attempt to stand it up and put some heat, which would help that.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that while the fabric is wet.
Wet. That's
right.
Exactly right.
Because that will only encourage mildew and other damage to the fabric. So the game plan would be, and as you heard Henry saying to the other pilots, if you've got an extra fan, some of those folks can borrow and use, then share.
Or tarp as well.
Or tarps,
and then of course on the ground you need a couple extra hands, kind of just keeping it open and stretched out, maybe even rolling it a little bit to be able to get the bottom side if the top starts drying.
I told the story earlier this week, years ago, and some of my friends down in Natchez that are watching will remember because they were crewing for me. We got caught in a rain shower. I was flying a 105 for the Thunder and Colt factory where I was working at the time in Longview, Texas, and we got caught in a rain shower. By the time I was able to land at the Vidalia airport and we got the balloon packed, it was absolutely soaking wet. Not at all unlike last night. And the task was to, obviously we needed to dry the balloon as quickly as we could. Well, we couldn't get it back out. I actually ended up driving home to Texas, to Longview, and it rained for steadily for another 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing we could do is what some of the pilots did last night. We took the envelope inside our cutting room floor there at Thunder and Colt, pulled the envelope out, got some cold air fans blowing through it, trying to dry the envelope out. But we really couldn't roll the balloon. There wasn't that much room to do all of that. And long story short, in the end result, we had to replace the parachute and the top 3 panels because they were just so wet we couldn't dry the balloon effectively.
Before the
mold
and all that
and the
stuff
mildew set in and basically ruined the fabric. So that was quite an expensive flight that I made. Fortunately, it was, I shouldn't say this, fortunately it was a company balloon, and the company absorbed the cost of replacing the top 3 panels of the parachute of the balloon.
And it was a round balloon, a regular shaped balloon.
A regular shape, unlike the special shapes
that got it last night.
So in many ways, I was lucky, but it was still very disheartening, and I'm certainly not proud of the fact that I, significantly damaged a company balloon. But again, that was the same sort of thing. We were actually in flight at a balloon rally, and a shower popped up and caught several of us before we could make a safe landing. and by the time we landed and deflated and were packing the balloon up, it was just pouring rain. And so much, again, like last night. So yeah, the effort today will be to get those pilots the opportunity to get their equipment out and get it dried if the precipitation stops. And that's a big if here for today.
Well, like you said, 3 days before it stopped when in your situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so the only option was to get the balloon indoors and try to do as much as you could, but you just simply couldn't get enough air flowing through the balloon. We couldn't get it, fully cold packed and get all the fabric spread out so that it would dry appropriately. And yeah, we ended up damaging the balloon, and we certainly don't want that to happen to these shapes. And so anything we could do, either, as I said, I was told earlier that Sam Parks was trying to negotiate with some indoor facilities to provide access for some of the pilots to take their gear indoors if need be.
And we did get a
start
number.
that drawing.
Yeah, we
And
did get a
get
number of
some
them inside overnight.
Overnight at UNM, yeah.
Yep.
In fact, one of the assistant balloonmeisters on the safety team, Tom, showed me a photograph of that.
Yes.
Where they had several of the balloons inflated. It basically was the indoor football.
Their indoor arena over there.
Indoor
yeah.
arena, football stadium, et cetera. Yeah.
I was talking with our associate event director, who was there until about 2 o'clock this morning, and said some of the balloons probably would have even stayed longer, except that they had practice scheduled in there at 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh my goodness.
So thanks to UNM for helping us out last night, and maybe if there's a break in practice, we can get some more down there and do some more of that. Obviously, these are very big balloons, especially since they were the special shapes last night.
Yes.
So you pretty much need a gymnasium at least, if not bigger areas, to be able to set them up.
Hey, we're getting a lot of great comments, and we do appreciate it. We don't get to read them all, but for those of you that are commenting, Pat Wiseman says, you two, let me get back to that, you two do a wonderful job of announcing. Under the circumstances, your informative chats are great. Thank you. Well, thank you for the compliment. And yeah, we try to do the best that we can and keep the audience both here on the park and are here in the park, and those of you that are online, as informed as we can. There are always official discussions going on that we are not privy to, and we don't know the discussion until we're basically informed of what the result of that discussion is, and then we'll share that as quickly as we have it. So, but we do try to keep you as on top of things as we possibly can, and Art and I are both pilots of many years experience, and so we try to bring that to bear as well. We can appreciate what the pilots here are wondering, what they're thinking, what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, and so we try to bring that knowledge to the program and to you as well. Just to, as I try to be as informative as we can, and sometimes we get a little silly and try to be entertaining as well.
You never know when that's going to come up.
That's right. But
Rebecca,
thank you for the comments from everyone. There have been a lot of them this morning that I've seen. We appreciate that.
Rebecca over on our YouTube feed has actually coined that whole drying out process we've been talking about.
Yeah.
They're just blow drying the balloons.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, that's true. Because
that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, you're just blowing air through the balloon to dry the fabric out. So
and we took minutes to explain that.
She did
summed it up in 2 words.
Yeah, in about 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So maybe we're not the great announcers that we that we seem to think that we are.
Thanks, Valerie. We appreciate another one of those thank you comments about the job we're doing up here. We do have fun doing it as well as.
Yeah, I've always said when this quits being fun, that's when I'll stop doing it. And then after 33 years, you can make the assumption that it's still fun. Now, some days it's not as much fun as others,
but it's still fun.
But it's still fun, and I'm really privileged to get to work with a great group of people here at Albuquerque. It's amazing to me that it is my 33rd year here, and that they've kept me on board and continue to invite me back, and it means the world to me. I wouldn't know what to do if I weren't in Albuquerque for the first couple of weeks of October every year.
You'll remember 2 years ago, 2020, when we had to postpone the actual event.
Yeah.
All kinds of people were going into withdrawals already.
Right.
And so we decided, well, you know what, we can't let people go through these withdrawals. And so we decided to go ahead and continue to do Balloon Fiesta Live as part of Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah, and the great thing about that was my commute was just from my bedroom at one end of the house to my office at the other end of the house.
You didn't even have to get dressed from the waist down.
No, I really didn't. We won't go there, but
I'm not going to ask.
No, I'm sure you won't, and I'm not going to tell either. But it was Yeah, which was also great because I was at home in Central Time, so I was an hour later, and so I got to sleep in late, and yeah, just barely had to get up and open my eyes and walk down the hallway to the office, turned on the computer, and there we were. So I could just almost. We might just do that live one year, as long as I have a monitor and can see what's going on. You can sit up here in the rain. I could be at home with Ranger in the comfort of my office and under a roof. And yeah, no, that was Balloon Fiesta Siesta is what we called it, because we were all kind of taking a nap in the year that we were essentially off for the pandemic. But that too was a great experience, and the technology, how Windfire Productions pulled that off with, as I say, with me in Louisiana, you at a studio downtown here in Albuquerque, and then the things we were able to accomplish, where we had live video from balloons all across the country, not just here in Albuquerque. In that show, that really was a great deal of fun, and Ranger certainly enjoyed it because I was at home to spend some time with him, and he became something of a star on the show that year. He's at home right now, kind of pining away because I'm not there.
But you have a monitor to watch him. You have to set up a monitor that he can watch you.
Well, there you go. That might work, yeah. And actually, through that little pet camera, I can talk to him. I can.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I can call him and talk. But I haven't. I've done that once or twice, but it seems to confuse him because he can hear my voice, but he can't find me.
Right.
And so I haven't been doing that. But it does have that capability. It has come in helpful a couple of times when my pet sitter was there checking on them and feeding them, and I can, if I'm watching live and see that she's there, I can talk to her through the camera, and she can speak back. She can talk back to me if she has any questions or whatever. But yeah, talking to Ranger just seems to confuse him because
I can understand that.
He can't see me, can't find me.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, 33 great years, and I always tell the board of directors here, as long as you keep inviting me back, I'll keep coming back. It's really a privilege to have been up here, even in the rain this year, for all these years, and to be a part of this great event. I'm really quite honored and humbled by it all. And great to have you as a partner as well. 6 years that you and I worked together, and you impress me every day. Much of what we do at Balloon Fiesta Live is of no credit to me. It's purely down to Art and Windfire Productions. And I can't imagine the hours you spend behind the scenes. I show up and talk for 9 days. That's easy for me to do. I've got an overflow tank of hot air that I'm willing to share. But I know you guys spend hours and hours year round
Well,
on the behind-the-scenes organization of what this program is all about.
Coincidentally, back in 2020 with Balloon Fiesta Siesta, Windfire Productions had just taken over a brand new studio and the new contract for community Comcast community access channels and the government channels, and so they took over the operation of all of those, which got them, I say a new building, new to them, it's actually a historic building downtown, and we were the first production in that studio for at that time. And so we got to debut the studio, and we put a lot of things together, and some of the stuff wasn't actually even in place yet. We still managed to pull the shows off from there. Hour-and-a-half shows every morning, hour shows in the night, like you said, video from around the world. Lifting Spirits was a grassroots effort.
Yeah, to keep balloons flying during the pandemic, but on a local level.
Yeah. And so we had lots of great pictures and video from those things as well. We kind of launched our online merchandise options at that time.
That's right.
Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah,
so
it was almost like you could have been a host on QVC. I mean, you were right there.
We started calling it that, our QVC segment.
I was going to say, you were right there hawking all that merchandise, Ben, just like a pro.
Well, we had, because there's so much lead time on merchandise, which has actually gotten worse. The lead time is incredibly long these days. But we had so much of that merchandise already on its way by the time we postponed the event that we had to do something with it. So we kind of ramped up our online store and started doing those little selling segments on Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah.
And now our online store is going so well we can't keep up over there. And if you're looking to buy merchandise online, our online store is temporarily closed due to the volume that we are experiencing in our tents here on the field and our physical gift shop. our plan is to reopen the online store, which is balloonfiestastuff.com, on Wednesday. So Sunday afternoon, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, we'll be working frantically to put everything back together, make sure we know exactly what we've got and how many, so that on Wednesday we can reopen our online store and make available a lot of the 50th merchandise for you to be able to purchase online in case you didn't get a chance to get here or buy the merchandise tents.
Yeah. That's some of the radio traffic that you're monitoring, I know, to keep us up to date on what's happening. Many people on our Facebook feed still asking, what's the update, what's the update? We are still on hold and will be until 7 a.m. at least, at which time we will do the national anthem as anticipated. There'll be a decision then whether or not to allow the Balloon of the Day to launch. It may well just do either a static display or even less, a candlestick display down by the main stage. We do anticipate the flyover by the Chile Express, a great group of volunteer pilots who do these types of operations, and they welcomed us on our opening weekend last Saturday, a week ago, and we still anticipate that they will do their flyover this morning, but that will depend too once the sun comes up and we see how much cloud cover we have. And I'm just looking up now, and there's significant cloud above us. There are some lighter spots, but there is still significant cloud cover above us, and we'll have to see if that impacts the Chile flight.
So a little less than 10 minutes away from.
Yeah, so we're still on hold. Nothing's been canceled yet. People asking that online on Facebook, are they canceled? No, we're not canceled. We're simply on hold, as we have been for most of this week, it seems like. But we've also seen, by going on hold, times when windows of opportunity, as we've come to call them, have opened up and have allowed us to have some amazing morning flights.
Great competition on Thursday and Friday.
Some awesome competition, and we're certainly hoping that will be the case today. It's nature. We can't say now what's going to be happening. I'm slipping off my chair. Our chair, we have some really nice folding portable camp chairs that we use here on the set, and they're very nice, but they got soaked last night, and Art opted to leave his aside and just use the little folding chair. I opted for our standard camp chair, and so I've got it covered with a plastic bag to try and insulate.
Or we'll be drying you out later.
Yeah,
if you hadn't used that.
We'll have another big special shape to dry out this morning. So I'm trying to use that to insulate myself, to keep my bum dry, as it were. And it's largely working, although because it's a plastic trash bag that's between me and the chair, it's a bit slippy. Yeah.
Hey, yesterday we talked about what great competition we had yesterday.
Yeah.
And we saw Chris Sabia in the Wonder Balloon.
Right.
Come in and get a pole. A couple of our photographers managed to get some great pictures of that. I don't know if we can pull those up from the truck or not. But as I was looking last night to see what kind of Balloon Fiesta Live footage we had of that, I noticed that another person got a pole.
That's
yesterday.
What you were saying. There were two people who each got a pole yesterday.
It was Rhett Hartzell.
Oh, okay. All right.
So our video caught it, and all we could see was the skirt and the basket. So it was a little more difficult to determine who that was. But of course, the ring has a tag on it with the pilot name and banner number, etc.
Right.
So when the scorers got to that later yesterday afternoon, there's the pictures up on the screen that you see. Those are from our photographers. Jennifer Wolf and Don Henderson both were out there, managed to snap the picture of Chris doing a picture-perfect approach and literally just reach out the basket and set the ring over the pole.
Right.
That's the way that absolutely works the best. Although I have seen, and we have video of folks literally doing a frisbee toss of the ring and hitting the ring.
Yeah, but that's rare.
It is.
That it works.
It is very rare.
Generally,
I got a whole lot more video of that not working.
Yeah.
Than of working.
Yeah. Yeah, generally you have to be right at the pole and just be able to reach out and drop the ring straight over the pole, which is what Chris Savia was able to do yesterday.
As did Rhett on his. When you
I'm
go
sure
back,
he did.
yeah,
We just
it's the same
I
thing.
haven't seen the video.
Yeah, well, and we wouldn't have seen it from here because there were 3 or 4 balloons between him and you and our cameras
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Even between me and the poles, because we were kind of in the middle of the field, more by the Gordon Bennett Memorial targets, and the poles were out on the far north end.
Yeah, and so, but congratulations to both Red and Chris, since they got individual. They each got their own individual pole. Each pole, when we have those 5 out there.
Anymore.
Right. So we're nearing the magic hour for our national anthem this morning.
They called it at 1 minute. So we will have the national anthem, the burners being lit up by our ExxonMobil balloons of the day.
And potentially the overfly by Chili Express. We'll have to watch to see, as I said, what impact, if any, the cloud cover is having on that.
Everyone watching their watch,
Yeah.
and the seconds.
The awkward
click
silence
down.
as we're all expecting a countdown to the anthem, and there was no countdown. There
Here
it
we
is.
go, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem, performed for us this morning by the 44th Army Band.
What's up, everybody? This is Bayou Man Gaming. Unfortunately, our flight competition for the night is going to be canceled due to weather. But we are about to be headed to Brazil as an alternate flight. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to go live here in a second. We're going to gather up. And then since we're going to be in Brazil, I would like to propose that we do the Brazilian national anthem before we take off. How's that sound, ladies and gentlemen? Thank y'all so much for choosing to hang out with Bayou Man and the Balloon Tribe. We are the next big thing coming around this simulator community. We are now getting ready to head to Brazil. Y'all pay attention. I'm going to be going live here just shortly. See y'all in Brazil. Thank y'all for hanging out with the 2026 Hot Air Balloon Microsoft Flight Simulator 50 State Tour. We are in Long Island, New Jersey. Canceled due to rain delay. We'll try again in the morning. See y'all in Brazil in just a minute. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and that bell button so you know when I'm going live and you can come join us on this flight. I'll see y'all on the flip side.